Yeah, I know. Fucking NC State.
All right, welcome to First and Filoni. This is our Week 12 episode. And if you heard that man before I just got started here, that's the legend himself, Mr. Andrew Cooper. How you feeling, buddy?
Just ready to tell it how it is already.
Yeah, I mean, I texted you on Saturday about that NC State game when they were up 14 nothing and that offense looked electric, and then I don't know what happened. I honestly don't. They looked so good to start.
I just think too conservative play calling once again, fourth quarter.
Yeah. I mean, that
I
seems to be a
mean, to me,
consistent
you
theme
gotta
across the
if you
board.
yeah, I mean, if you just keep your foot on the gas, man, don't let off. I mean, you want to take away margin, but the penalties killed us once
Yeah.
again. And I
I
mean, to
saw
be honest, I just don't think.
that one hit on Morris was that he should have
Yeah,
been kicked out of the game.
yeah. I don't know, man. Just typical state football. You lose the one you're supposed to win.
You know,
As
you've been
always.
living with it for 30 years, so you've seen it all.
Yeah.
But before we get started, we do want to give our thoughts and prayers out to the UVA football team. Earlier this week, one of their former players shot and killed three of their current players. I believe it was last night or the night before. We record on Tuesday, so Sunday night or Monday night. Sad news there, and best wishes to the team. And it's tough to see such young players um, no longer with us. So best wishes to them. Hopefully they can heal, and hopefully they bring the guy to justice. I know they already got him. So but let's go ahead and start a little bit more positive. This week, from last week, we wanted to look at some big surprises and biggest disappointments. Biggest surprises meaning more positive outlook, and then biggest disappointed, the more negative outlook. And I was texting you and I told you, it could be players, coaches, teams. I couldn't really think any coaches besides the ones we've continuously talked about. But the teams that I have listed here for the biggest surprises or best surprises, UConn, bowl eligible for the first time in how long? They look really, really good under Jim Mora, first year coach. TCU, obviously, if you go 10-0 after a 4-8 season under a first year coach, you have to be put on this list. UNC, Mac Brown has his quarterback. The dude is electric. You can hate on him all you want. The dude can sling the pigskin. And then JMU, first year in the FBS, and they're posting a winning record. Unfortunately, they can't go to the bowl game due to the rules for 2 years. They're trying to petition to get it only 1 year, but we'll see how that goes. Do you have any big surprises team-wise, or were you more focused on players and coaches?
No, I know it's not. I wouldn't say it's more or less a surprise, but congratulations to Cadillac freaking Williams.
Yes, I agree. I will second that in a heartbeat.
Man, he got his first collegiate head coaching win for Auburn. Man,
I called it. I called it.
Good for them. No, but I think my biggest surprise this year is definitely UConn. Man, Jim Moore. I told you,
Yeah,
if you give
you
him some
did.
time, he's going to do something. He beat a very good Liberty team.
That was a good game.
So
That was a really, really good
yes,
game. I watched about half of it. Like, that was a
so
very good game.
hats off to them, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they did. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the season. That was one of our week 0 games, and I was like, they looked pretty good with the freshman quarterback. Then he got hurt, and then they just keep pulling out wins, man. If a bigger school doesn't pick up Jim Mora, which I hope they don't, I hope he stays at UConn, and I hope UConn goes to a bigger conference. But uh, bring back the days of Dan Orlovsky and what's that guy's name? Uh, Darius Butler, all those days, the Big East days back in the day,
Yeah,
when they ran
the
that
original,
conference.
the original Big East.
Yeah. Some players that I had here, and shocking, they're all quarterbacks. Hendon Hooker, I mean, some people will say that's not a surprise, but he's having a phenomenal year. your boy, Mr. May, he's literally leading the category in every single stat line as a freshman. And then Duggan from TCU. Duggan was in a quarterback battle with three other quarterbacks at the beginning of the year, and as soon as he took over, that offense just blew out of the water. So those would be my three players that were the biggest surprises. I thought I knew Hooker was good, but I didn't realize he was this good.
I
So
would throw. I'd be willing to throw Bo Nix into that category because you never
yes,
could really find it in Auburn, but he
Mhm.
finally got in the system. I think it fits him,
Yeah,
and he's looked pretty good. I know they had a tough loss to Washington over the weekend, but I mean
yeah,
he's playing
yeah.
like everybody thought he could.
I completely forgot about him, to be honest with you. Like I honestly did. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Um, So, do you have any more big surprises that I haven't listed off? Anybody on your radar? I like that one with Bo Nix. He deserves to be up there for sure,
Uh,
and Jim Mora as well.
I'll tell you a team that I'm also well, I shouldn't say high on, but happy for too is Liberty after losing Malik Willis. I mean, they're still
Yeah, they
turning it
picked right
around. I mean,
up.
they haven't skipped a beat there. I mean, like I said, I think Hugh Freeze is going to be there for a while, so good for them.
Well,
JMU, obviously. I'm trying to think. Oh, Vanderbilt.
oh yeah, yep, that's on my list too. First win in 26 games. First SEC win in
Yeah,
26 games. That Mike Wright kid, I told you when I saw him play Hawaii, he looked pretty good, and that quarterback, he'll be in the transfer portal, unfortunately for Vanderbilt, but
yeah.
he's not bad, man.
Nah, but hats off to them as well.
Maybe they'll be back to prominent. I mean, the conferences here are just a mess, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. But we'll go ahead to the biggest disappointments. I have three teams in mind. Texas A&M. I mean, come on, you have a high-profile coach like that. You have the best recruiting class for like 2 years in a row or whatever it was, and you're 3-6, and you're gonna or 3-7, right? And they're gonna miss a bowl game. So I got Oklahoma State. They started off the year on fire, and then they had a Mike Gundy loss, and it just seems like they've given up. I know I watched the game a little bit. They've been playing Gunner Gundy, so they're playing the backup. I think Spencer Sanders is hurt with a shoulder injury, unfortunately. He played a little bit, but not much. And then Miami. I was very high on Miami at the beginning of the year with Mario Cristobal and Van Dyke, but they suck. Like they are awful.
Yeah, I saw some on Facebook today. It was when NCAA 23 comes out and they have Miami as a packed stadium. I'm returning it for fraud.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't had a packed stadium since the early 2000s, but those are my big three disappointments. I can put Trevion Henderson, the running back from Ohio State, on there. He had a breakout year his freshman year from Petersburg, Virginia, but he's kind of not done well. Virginia Tech, they don't have an identity, and that's a shame. We need Tech to be good again. Um, to be honest with you, and I don't hate me for this, Devin Leary, like I'm very disappointed. I know he got hurt, but
Yeah, to me though, I think that has something to do with the offensive coordinator not turning them loose. They wanted to establish a ground game, and then when they got behind, that's when freaking Leary
yeah.
had to just start chunking. So
Well, he just only would throw it to either Penix or Thomas, and
yeah,
Morris throws the ball around a little bit. So that's why I kind of snuck him on that list. But do you have any other bigger disappointments there, or anything else stand out that you would say?
uh, I think a big disappointment for me is kind of Virginia in a way because he came back with Brennan Armstrong. He
Yeah.
played so good under Bronco Mendenhall. I mean, that was kind of a.
Yeah,
I
you're
looked for
right. And
them
they
this year
said
to
that
kind of compete.
the receiver classes was amazing last year, and they can't catch a cold right now.
Yeah, so I want to say they're definitely one team, and another big surprise to me in the ACC is daggone it, right on the tip of my tongue.
I'll throw in Nebraska while you're looking at
Uh
that too. I was very high on Nebraska, and they pooped the
yeah,
bed. So
daggone, who was it in the ACC? Yeah, going. I can't think now, but yeah,
Louisville.
definitely. Yeah, Louisville. That was another
Malik
team. I was going.
Cunningham hasn't been playing the way he should be playing.
Yeah. But I think Virginia Tech too. But you got to give Brent Pry a year to get in there and get what
I
he
hope
has
so,
to get
man.
established.
I hope so. There's rumors going around that South Carolina's not liking Shane Beamer, so I wouldn't mind seeing him going back to Virginia Tech and keeping the Beamer legacy there. Like that wouldn't be a bad idea, I wouldn't think.
No, I mean I was kind of shocked at Georgia Tech. I thought they were going to be a little, at least a 7-5 team this year with Jeff Collins, but they got rid of him.
Yeah.
Wake
Yeah. I
Forest is
mean,
another disappointment.
well, so I don't put them as a disappointment only because um Hartman had the health issue. And if you can't practice and gel with a quarterback, like he's playing really good, but you're probably right. Their athletes haven't shown up like they did last year, and they lost a heartbreaker last weekend. But
It looks like to me some of the teams in the ACC, and of course I follow that a whole lot more than the other teams in the country, but
yeah,
it just looked like to me some of the teams in the ACC once they got that first loss, it's like they kind of gave up because they knew they were never going to catch Clemson or
yeah,
for Carolina say Carolina because they took off too. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Another team I just thought for big surprises would be Kansas as well. Leipold is a heck of a coach, so
No, yeah.
um, but we'll go ahead and move on from this part of it. Just two rumors that I heard over the last couple of days. Auburn and Nebraska have already picked their head coaches. They're just waiting to announce them at the end of the season. I think Auburn's coach is going to be Lane Kiffin, and I think Nebraska is going to be Matt Rule. Those are like the high candidates from what I've been reading from the other podcasts I listen to and some of the insiders that there. I wouldn't mind seeing Lane Kiffin at Auburn as long as he keeps Cadillac Williams. And then Matt Rule back in college. I mean, what he did to Baylor and turn them around, if they could do that to Nebraska with all the NIL money that's going to go to there, Nebraska might be a powerhouse again. So, okay. So next thing is potential conference championships. We're 2 weeks away from the conference championship games, and some races have kind of shown themselves, and we know who's going to be pretty much playing if they win out. Others are a little bit muddy. We'll start in the ACC. It looks like Clemson has the pretty much is the Atlantic side of things, which we all pretty much expected. I had NC State winning it, but Clemson, it looks like they're winning that, and it looks like UNC is going to win it all. So UNC Clemson in Charlotte, that'll be a fun game because I don't think Clemson's offense can keep up with May. So that might be a fun game to watch. Any thoughts on those two teams? I mean,
Yeah, I hope Clemson goes in there.
Duke could potentially slide in there if they beat UNC and they win out and
No, I
UNC
think
loses
Duke.
out.
I think, and UNC already wrapped it up.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, when they beat Wake Forest, they wrapped it up on the
Okay.
coastal side. No, I hope Clemson
And this is
goes
the
in there
last
and
year of
wear.
the Atlantic and the Coastal as well. Just for the ACC, they're going to go into the no divisions category like a couple other teams have starting next year.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to add that little snippet in
No,
there.
you're good. No, I just hope Clemson wears them out.
Yeah, that's the rivalry hatred right there. Big 12 conference. TCU's made it in, and it's a battle between Kansas State and Oklahoma State right now. If Oklahoma State wins out and Kansas State loses the next two games, then Oklahoma State's in. If Kansas State just wins one of the next two or Oklahoma State loses, then they're in. It's pretty close in that for that second team. This is a Big 12 that doesn't have conference winners or divisions in the conference. So it's muddied up between Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Texas all within one game of each other. Oklahoma State has the win over two of the three. So it should be interesting to see. What folds out there? Do you see Kansas State falling? I know they play a tough
No,
game this weekend.
I think Kansas State's going to end up wrapping that up.
Yeah, I do too. They have two good quarterbacks, and their defense is always solid. So, um, are they playing? Do we have them on our list here? I don't see them. No. Okay. Okay. Big Ten conference. It's going to be either Michigan or Ohio State, whoever wins that one. And then the Big Ten West is just five
It's
teams can
wide
win
open.
it.
Yeah.
Purdue's in the lead right now with Illinois, Iowa, and Minnesota, all tied at 4-3. But I think Purdue has the outright. Um, Wisconsin's one game back, and Nebraska is actually 2 games back. Um, this is a hot take, but I think Iowa is going to come out of the West. They seem to have found a rhythm with their offense, and that's shocking to say.
Yeah. I don't know. It's either Purdue or Illinois. I think Purdue's will end up winning it because of the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue's could be a disappointment as well, but they could finish out the season and be all right. Illinois has just not looked good the last couple of weeks. Bielema's first year in the program, though, like he's done well. He's already had 7 wins in the first year, so give him 2 more years, and that Illinois is going to be a pretty big program there. So we'll see how that turns out. Then we'll go to, and we're only doing the big conferences, the Power Five. We've mixed in some American Conference because that's like the next greatest one, but we're not going to look at them. Pac-12 is another one that doesn't have divisions. Right now, USC is up top and they control their own destiny. If they win out, they're in. And then Oregon, Utah, which is a game this weekend, I believe. And that one is pretty much going to determine, I think, who goes there. UCLA has a shot if they upset USC this weekend, then everything's all muddied. But those are the 4 teams pretty much. Washington is in their mix as well. So out of those 5 teams, which 2 are going, do you think? This one's tough. This one I had to think about.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I definitely think USC. No way they're faltering 2 straight. Uh, I think Utah is going to slip back into it.
I do too. They play a tough game this weekend. So it's USC, UCLA, and then Utah, Oregon. So the 5 teams are playing each other this weekend. Utah's at Oregon, and Oregon didn't look good in their 2 losses. So, but they're playing at Oregon, so that could change things. Home field advantage is a real thing. I think so as well. If I had to pick, I'd be USC, Utah, which I had at the beginning of the year as well. And then the Southeastern Conference, SEC, Georgia locks it up pretty much. They have to win out, but they're pretty much in. They have Kentucky and Georgia Tech left, so they just have Kentucky to worry about. But
Isn't that Georgia and LSU in the title game?
And then LSU wrapped it up with a win and Alabama's unfortunate win against Ole Miss. No idea what Lane Kiffin was doing at the end of the game there. I mean, Judkins was running all over the Alabama defense. Just hand him the daggone ball instead of throwing it 4 times with Dart, but whatever. And shockingly, at the bottom of the division, it's Texas A&M out of the whole conference. They're the worst team in the whole division. Not Vanderbilt. Not Vanderbilt. Not Missouri. Texas A&M. Cool. So we have there. It's clearing up a little bit, I think. The playoff schedule is coming out tonight as well, or the rankings. I don't see anybody changing out of the top 4. I don't think they're going to change this week either. Well, they might with one of the picks that I have, but let's go ahead and get into the games here. We'll go straight down the list, I guess. We have one of the bigger rivalries in college football, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is favored by 7.5 points.
Sanders game time decision, or is he out?
That I don't know. While he's connecting back, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and look that up. So give me 1 second. This was a tough one for me. Being a newly found Oklahoma State fan, Spencer Sanders is saying that he's playing. I think it's going to be more of a game time decision from what it's looking like of what I'm reading. And he returned a little bit last week, so that was a good sign as well. So I think Spencer Sanders is playing, but it might be a game time decision. I'm going to go Oklahoma State. I don't think Oklahoma's that good. Like I don't think the hire of Brett Venables was a good hire, or I thought it was, but now it's not. So I'm going Oklahoma State here, even though they're 7.5-point underdogs.
Is that Oklahoma?
It's at Oklahoma. Yep.
Give me Oklahoma.
You're gonna go Oklahoma. They just have not looked good, man. Like they have the athletes too. I don't know. TCU, who's favored by
but
two
you
and a
know how
half
to play in
points.
rivalry.
No, that's true. Well, not versus Texas. So TCU at Baylor. TCU's favored by 2.5 points. I picked against TCU all year, and I'm gonna pick against them again. I think Baylor wins it at home. Baylor's so up and down. You never know what you're gonna get. They just got whopped by Kansas State last week, so who knows? Who knows who's gonna win that one? But I'm going Baylor over TCU.
Give me the Horned Frogs.
Ooh, we both went 6-4 last week. For people keeping track at home, it was a rough week for us both. Okay. Then Duke at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's favored by 7.5. Going to Heinz Field. Duke is a pretty good team this year. So nothing to sneeze at. That defense is pretty steady.
I think I'm gonna take Duke.
You can go Duke. We're picking against each other this week, huh? That's not a bad pick. I like Pitt's running back, man, and at Heinz Field, I just have them winning that one. Probably the easiest game on the slate. Georgia at Kentucky. Georgia's favored by 22.5.
I think I'm gonna take the Wildcats.
Really?
It's like, no, I'm
I was gonna say I already wrote down Georgia for you, so I'm not gonna be a friend. I'm gonna be your friend and say no, let's not do that.
No, I'm not doing that one.
Yeah. Will Levis is not a NFL quarterback. I've been saying that since day one. Come at me. We got NC State at Louisville. Louisville is favored by 4 points. This one was a tough one. You're going Louisville? This one's a tough one for me, man.
After what happened last week? MJ Morris's first road game.
I'm sticking with NC State. I'm sticking with NC State. I have faith in that defense, man. I really like the Morris kid. Like
I do too, but it depends on what Tim Beck you're going to get.
That's fair, and it depends on which Malik Cunningham you're getting too.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, we don't do good against quarterback that run.
Yeah, I'm still going NC State. I like the defense. Defense travels. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. Iowa at Minnesota. Minnesota is favored by 3 points. Are you rowing the boat?
I don't know, man. Freaking Iowa's shocked me a lot the last couple of weeks. In other news, Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee has more touchdowns than Iowa's offense this year.
Yeah, because Iowa couldn't score an offensive touchdown for like the first 4 weeks of the season.
I think I'm gonna go Iowa on this one.
Yeah, that's where I went. They've turned it around, and they actually have their offense does have a pulse. They've scored above 20 points in I think their last 3 games. I have Iowa winning this one as well. Um, Probably the second easiest game on our slate here is Tennessee at South Carolina. Tennessee is favored by 21.5 points. South Carolina just got demolished last week by Florida. Like it wasn't even close. Florida just crushed them. Should have been a bigger score, but the penalties kept killing them. So I'm going Tennessee easily on this one.
Give me double H5 all day.
Yeah. And then this is where things get a little interesting here. Before we get into the two interesting games, we'll go Syracuse at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is favored by 10. They came off of a rough loss. That was a really good game, I thought. I like their quarterback, man. I love Wake. And I don't Syracuse has fell off. But if you look at their wins are very, very low margins. So they're not really as good as their record shows.
I'm gonna take Wake.
Yeah, I took Wake as well.
I think they're gonna bounce back.
Yeah, they looked really good last week, man. But you ran into a buzzsaw with Mac Brown. He's starting to get his recruiting class down, and it's I mean he finally has a quarterback. So the next game we have is USC at UCLA. USC is favored by 2.5 points. It's not really an away game. They're both in LA, right? Like, I think USC wins handily, but I don't know. Their record is also better than what they've been putting up too. Like they cannot cover a spread to save their lives. So this game kind of scares me. DTR is a really good quarterback.
I think it's hard to bet against USC right now.
Yeah. Lincoln Riley in a couple years is going to bring USC back to prominence, probably when they go to the Big Ten. But these are the two teams that are going to the Big Ten. And if USC wins, UCLA is out of the race for the Pac-12. And then the other side of the Pac-12 here, we have Utah at Oregon. Oregon is favored by 3 points. Do you have faith in Bo Nix in a big game? He's lights out when the big pressure isn't on him. But when it is, his 2 losses, they're just not there. I have Utah.
Yeah, but are they losing 2 in a row?
Yeah, and it's at Oregon. But
Give
I
me
like
Oregon.
Utah. You're going Oregon? I had Oregon originally written down.
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, it's going to be a tough game. So
I don't see them losing. I don't see them losing 2 weeks in a row in Eugene. I just
yeah,
don't.
but I don't think Oregon is. We're trying to live up to the standards of the old Chip Kelly days at Oregon, and I just don't think that they're there. But it was also one of the toughest games to pick as well. So I mean, that's a coin flip to me. I think 3 points is kind of high. I think it's just a pick 'em. Okay, so that's our games here. Just to go over some of the records here. We both went 6-4 last week. You are 71-39. I'm 77-33. My locks are 28-27 after going 3-3 last week. I have some other locks here today. I have Georgia beating Kentucky by more than 22.5 points. I think that they're just going to demolish them. I have Coastal +2 at UVA. This was before everything that happened. I still had Coastal winning, but report just came out tonight that UVA might be canceling the rest of their season, which would be understandable as well. I'm still riding this Auburn train. I think Auburn beats Western Kentucky by more than 5.5 points. I also have Tennessee and South Carolina going over the 66 points, and then I have Tennessee beating South Carolina by more than 21.5 points. Then we have Utah versus Oregon. I have the over at 61.5 points. I think it's going to be a shootout. And then Vandy, I have Vandy covering the spread. I think Florida's going to win, but I think Florida only wins by 7 points, not 14. So those are my locks of the week. I think it's going to be a good week here. This will get us up for rivalry week the week after. I'll actually be in Tennessee for some of these games, so I'll be able to put in some bets and see if I can win some extra money here while we're up there. But we actually went through this episode pretty quickly. Mr. Cooper, do you have any final words from the season? We're 2 weeks away. Things haven't shaped up the way we wanted them to, but
Nah, the only thing I got to look forward to is Bowl Mania.
Yep. And during bowl season, guys, we are going to do the last week of the season, which will be next week. Then we're going to do conference championship week. And then where we'll pick every single conference game that is on ESPN at least. And then we're going to try to pick most of the bowl games, if not all of them. We'll still try to do them weekly. And then at the end of the season, we are going to do a joint episode with another podcast going over the first round draft picks, but that probably won't come out until the spring. That way we can talk about spring ball as well. Cool. Well, that's it for this week. A lot shorter than I thought it would be, but that's okay. Thank you guys for watching, for listening, putting up with us all year. Next year, look for an actual podcast version. I'm going to learn how to do that this summer and then create a podcast with it. So that way you can listen to it rather than just watch us. I know I listen to podcasts all day long at work, so look forward to that. If you didn't like us, don't tell anybody. Support us, give us like, comments, share us, and that's it.